You're spending more at one of these stores than you need to. Maybe it is actually both of these stores. And the maddening part is that both of them have convinced you that shopping there is already the smart move, that just walking through those doors means you're being responsible with your money. Well, that's exactly what they're counting on. Sprouts and Whole Foods are two of the fastest growing grocery chains in the country right now. They sit in similar neighborhoods, they sell a lot of the same products, and they both wrap themselves in the same language: fresh, natural, better for you. But better for you and better for your wallet are two very different things, and the gap between them is where a lot of money disappears every single week. So what I did was go through both stores, category by category, and actually compare what things cost. Not just the sale items, not the cherry-picked deals, the real weekly shop. And what I found is that both of these stores have pricing strategies built specifically to make you feel like you're saving when you're not. And once you see how the game is being played, you can't unsee it. Now, before we get into the numbers, if you're someone who is tired of getting nickel and dimed at the grocery store and you want straight talk about what things actually cost, go ahead and hit subscribe. And drop a comment right now. Do you shop at Sprouts, Whole Foods, both, or neither? I'm genuinely curious because it affects everything about which tips are going to matter most to you. Okay, so let's talk about how these two stores are actually built, because the structure tells you everything. Whole Foods has a reputation. You've heard the nickname Whole Paycheck. And for years, that was completely earned. But in 2017, Amazon bought them, and prices came down on some items. They also launched the 365 brand, their in-house label, specifically to give budget-conscious shoppers something to point to. The idea was, look, we have affordable options, and they do. But here's the thing most people miss. The 365 label is not across the board cheap. It is cheap on specific items, and it can be expensive on others, and if you don't know which is which, you are still overpaying in the same store while feeling like you made a smart choice. Sprouts operates differently. Their whole model is built around the idea of the farmer's market. Open bins, fresh displays, a produce section that takes up a huge portion of the floor. They also run what's called a double ad Wednesday, where two weekly sales cycles overlap on the same day. Wednesday, which means you can stack deals from two different sale periods in one trip. That sounds great on paper, and sometimes it genuinely is. But what Sprouts has learned is that if you come in for the sale produce, you're also buying things that aren't on sale. And those items, they're priced at a premium that quietly cancels out the savings you thought you were getting. Both stores also rely heavily on what's called a health halo. That's the premium shoppers are willing to pay for anything labeled organic, natural, non-GMO, or free range, even when the difference in production cost doesn't justify the price difference on the shelf. Both Whole Foods and Sprouts know that their customers have already decided they want to shop better, so the markup on those buzzwords is baked in from the start. What we're going to do is go category by category and find out where each store actually beats the other, where they're robbing you blind, and what a genuinely smart shopping strategy looks like when you use both stores for the right things. Because here's the thing, the answer to which store saves you money is not one or the other. It's knowing exactly which aisles in each store are worth your time and which ones are quietly draining your account every single week. Produce is where Sprouts built its entire identity. Walk into any location and the first thing you see is that massive open-air market setup. Bins of loose nuts, stacked citrus, handwritten style signs on the displays. It feels abundant. It feels fresh. And honestly, on certain days and certain items, it is genuinely one of the better deals you're going to find. But you have to understand their rotation. Sprouts runs weekly sales on produce that can knock prices down significantly. We're talking organic strawberries for $1.99 a pound, avocados for 50 cents each, things that would cost you 2 to 3 times that at a conventional grocery store. Those deals are real. The problem is they're not always available, and if you're not shopping around the sales cycle, you're paying full Sprouts price, which is not the deal you think it is. I tested this on a Tuesday, which is one of the worst days to shop Sprouts if you're chasing deals. That's the day the old sale has almost expired and the new one hasn't kicked in yet. And the prices I saw on everyday organic produce were not meaningfully different from what Whole Foods charges for the same items. Organic Roma tomatoes were within 15 cents of each other. Organic baby spinach was actually cheaper at Whole Foods that week by about 30 cents per bag. Now at Whole Foods, the produce section doesn't have the same wow factor visually, but the 365 organic line holds its own on staples. Bananas, apples, russet potatoes, bagged salad kits, these tend to be priced competitively. Where Whole Foods stumbles is on anything specialty or seasonal. If it's an unusual variety, a trending superfood, or anything with a short season, Whole Foods charges a premium that Sprouts either matches or beats, but only if it's currently on sale. The honest takeaway on produce is this: Sprouts wins, but only on sale days, and only if you know what's in the weekly ad before you walk in. If you're shopping blind, the advantage disappears. Protein is where things get more interesting and more expensive at both stores. Let's start with beef. Both stores carry grass-fed and organic options, and both charge more for them than a conventional supermarket would. That's expected, but the gap between the two stores is real. On a pound of ground beef, 85% lean, grass-fed organic, Sprouts consistently runs cheaper, sometimes by as much as $2 per pound. Over a month for a family that eats beef a few times a week, that difference adds up to real money. We're talking $20 to $30 a month just on ground beef alone. Chicken is a different story. Whole Foods 365 free-range chicken breast tends to be priced well. Sprouts chicken runs slightly higher on the everyday price, though it drops during sale weeks. I've also found that Whole Foods butcher counter, which a lot of shoppers walk right past, will cut and portion things for you at no extra charge, which matters when you're buying in bulk and want different cuts without paying the prepackaged markup. Seafood is where I'd tell you to tread carefully at both stores. The markup on fresh seafood at natural grocery chains is significant. Both Whole Foods and Sprouts price their wild-caught salmon in a range that makes your eyes water. The difference is that Whole Foods runs Friday seafood sales fairly regularly, and if you know to look for those, you can actually do well. Sprouts seafood deals show up in the weekly ad too, but the selection is more limited. I want to ask you something here. Drop it in the comments because I'm actually curious. When you go to the grocery store and you're buying meat or fish, are you going by price, by where it came from, or just by what's on sale that week? Because I think that answer changes everything about which store actually works for your family. Here's what protein comes down to. Sprouts edges out. Whole Foods on beef. Whole Foods is competitive on chicken. And for seafood, you're playing the same game at both stores. The winner is whoever has the sale that week. Packaged goods are where both stores make a significant portion of their money, and where shoppers consistently get the most confused about what they're actually paying. Walk down the middle aisles at Whole Foods, and you'll see the 365 brand sitting next to name brands like Bob's Red Mill, Amy's, Sieti, and a dozen others. The 365 items are positioned as the budget-friendly pick, and sometimes they are. Pasta, canned tomatoes, olive oil, dried beans. These are categories where the 365 label genuinely competes with what you'd pay at a conventional store. But the moment you move into specialty packaged items, grain-free crackers, coconut aminos, cassava tortillas, oat-based snacks, the prices climb fast and the 365 brand disappears. You're back to paying full premium on the brands that have figured out Whole Foods customer is willing to do it. Sprouts carries a lot of the same brands, and this is where the Double Ad Wednesday strategy becomes worth actually learning. 2 sales cycles overlap every Wednesday. The outgoing week's deals and the incoming week's deals are both valid on the same day. So if canned coconut milk is on sale this week, and a specific grain-free granola is going on sale next week, you can buy both on Wednesday at sale price in a single trip. That is genuinely useful for every shopper. I've had Wednesdays where I saved close to $20 on a mid-size grocery run purely from stacking those two cycles. But here's what Sprouts is counting on. Their everyday prices on packaged goods, when nothing is on sale, run higher than Whole Foods on a surprising number of items. I compared a basket of 12 common packaged products at both stores on a non-sale day. Sprouts was cheaper on 3 of them. Whole Foods was cheaper on 7. 2 were within pennies of each other. So if you are walking into Sprouts midweek without checking the ad, and you're filling your cart with packaged goods, you are paying more than you would at Whole Foods. That is the trap you have to avoid. The store that feels like the better deal is quietly the pricier one when the sale isn't running. Now let's talk about supplements, because this is one of Sprouts' biggest selling points and it deserves a close look. Sprouts dedicates a substantial amount of floor space to vitamins, herbs, and supplements. The selection is genuinely impressive. You can find things at Sprouts that you'd normally have to order online. And for years, the reputation was that Sprouts was the cheaper place to buy supplements compared to Whole Foods. That reputation is partially still true, but it's more complicated now. On basic supplements, vitamin D, magnesium, fish oil, vitamin C, Sprouts store brand versions are priced well. You can find a bottle of 240 magnesium capsules for around $8 or $9, which is a fair price. But on mid-tier and premium supplement brands, the gap between Sprouts and ordering the same product online has gotten pretty wide. I've checked specific products and found them running 20 to 30% higher at Sprouts than on the brand's own website or on a retailer like Thrive Market. So if supplements are a regular line item in your budget, buying the Sprouts store brand makes sense, but buying name brand supplements at Sprouts as your default strategy is costing you money. Whole Foods' supplement section is smaller, and the prices on name brands run even higher than Sprouts in most cases. The 365 supplement line is thin, not a lot of variety. So for supplements, Sprouts wins on store brand, and online wins on everything else. And this is where the Health Halo markup is most obvious at both stores. The word organic on a can of beans costs you an extra $1. The word adaptogen on a supplement triples the price. Neither store invented this game, but both play it well, and both are counting on the fact that their customers feel strongly enough about these labels to stop questioning what things actually cost. Pay attention to this one. If you are buying packaged goods and supplements regularly at either store without a list, without checking the weekly ad, and without a price anchor in your head for what these items cost elsewhere, you are the customer. Both of these stores are designing their floor plans for, and if this video has been useful so far, hit subscribe and turn on notifications. I do these comparisons regularly, and the next one might be the store you shop at every single week. In this comparison, neither store wins a clean victory. That's the honest answer. And if you were waiting for a clean winner to walk away with, I'm sorry to disappoint you. But the truth is actually more useful than a simple verdict. What the numbers show across every category we covered is that both Sprouts and Whole Foods are good at specific things and quietly overpriced on others. And the shopper who treats either one as their single weekly destination is leaving money on the table every time. The shopper who knows exactly which aisles in each store are worth their time, that person is doing something different, and it shows up in their monthly grocery bill. So let's make this concrete and give you something you can actually use. Sprouts is worth your time and your money on grass-fed and organic beef, on produce during sale weeks, and only during sale weeks, on store brand supplements like basic vitamins and minerals, and on bulk bin items like nuts, seeds, dried fruit, and whole grains where you're buying exactly what you need without paying for excess packaging. Those are the categories where Sprouts consistently delivers real value. That is where their model actually works in your favor. Whole Foods earns its place in your rotation on the 365 brand staples. Canned goods, pasta, olive oil, bagged salad, bananas, everyday pantry basics that you go through fast and don't need to overthink. Their butcher counter is underused and worth talking to. Their Friday seafood sales are legitimate if you catch them. And on packaged specialty goods on non-sale days, Whole Foods is frequently the cheaper of the two, which surprises people every single time I tell them. Now here's the strategy that actually moves the needle. You use Sprouts on Wednesdays when the double ad overlap is running. You buy your beef and your bulk items there, and you check the produce sale before you go, not after you arrive. You use Whole Foods for pantry staples under the 365 label for the butcher counter and for the occasional seafood sale. And for packaged specialty brands and name brand supplements, you price check online first because both stores are going to charge you more than you need to pay. The other thing, and this matters as much as anything else we've covered today, is that your grocery bill at either of these stores is going to be controlled far more by your habits than by the store's prices. Showing up without a list, shopping hungry, grabbing things because the display looks good, buying packaged convenience foods instead of whole ingredients, those habits will cost you more than the difference between Sprouts and Whole Foods ever could. Both stores are exceptionally good at creating an environment that makes you want to spend. The open bins, the handwritten signs, the abundant displays, the curated playlists, all of it is designed to slow you down and open your wallet. Walking in with a specific list built around the weekly ad is the single most effective thing you can do at either store. I want to hear from you on this one. Before today, which store did you actually think was cheaper? Drop it in the comments. Sprouts, Whole Foods, or did you already know it was more complicated than that? Because I have a feeling the answer is going to be pretty split, and I want to see where people actually land. There's also a video I put together on how to build a grocery list that actually cuts your bill, not just organizes it, but structurally reduces what you spend every week regardless of where you shop. If that sounds useful, search for it on the channel because it pairs directly with everything we talked about today. Grocery stores at this level are not your enemy and they're not your friend. They are a business with a pricing strategy, and now you know what that strategy looks like from the inside. Shop accordingly and save your hard-earned money.